I'm Warren Mendes and I'm going to show you how to make this incredibly silky smooth chocolate creme brulee. I promise you, you're going to nail it if you follow these few principles. First of all, I'm going to show you how to make the silky base, then how to bake it properly in the oven, and then how to brulee the perfect crisp top. So first of all, onto the custard base of the recipe, which is the most important bit of a creme brulee. And in any good creme brulee, a lot of your flavor is going to come from using a real vanilla bean. When you open this up, you've got thousands and thousands of these little specks of vanilla, which are going to give so much flavor. Just scrape holding one edge of the pod and then do the same with the other side. Now going in with some cream, and this is off the heat now because we want to work it gently and not split anything. So not a massive amount of sugar for a creme brulee in the actual custard, because the brulee part at the top where you have the crack in is going to have so much sugar and be really sweet. Wherever there's sweet, there needs to be salt, and then in with 2 tablespoons of cocoa. We're just going to let this cook until all that cocoa really melts into it. Okay, now it's only been about a minute and already it's about to bubble. Turn off the heat. It smells like hot chocolate. It's going to set aside and infuse all that beautiful flavor. We don't want it too scorching hot when we add the eggs, so it's going to cool down a bit. So just separate the whites. The easiest way I find to do this is actually by having really clean hands and then letting the yolk go between your fingers with like small gaps in between. Because the problem is if sometimes you use the shell, the outside of the shell can actually be incredibly dirty. We need 6 of these. So before we pour this into the egg yolks, I'm just going to get rid of those vanilla pods. They've done their job, all the flavors inside that chocolate cream. And then in a whisking motion, this isn't really scorching hot anymore. We're going to temper the eggs. So start to whisk them with one hand and then just gradually pour in this chocolate mixture. And you'll notice now the sugar's totally dissolved, the cocoa is totally dissolved, and that way when we bake it in the oven, you can have as silkier creme brulee as possible. So onto the next bit of making a creme brulee, and that's baking it gently in the oven. And just give the mixture a good beat just to ensure that everything is even in each creme brulee. And then divide it between your vessels. The real trick to ensuring that this bakes nice and gently is by having it in a tray and then just adding some boiling water to the bottom. And what this is going to do is provide a bit of steam in the oven, which kind of provides for a gentle bake. These babies are done. When you pick one up, there should just still be a bit of a jiggle or wobble in the center. Don't do too much because you'll crack them. And the important thing is to let this cool down entirely and then get them into the fridge, and they'll set for about 2 hours. Okay, so these guys have been chilling out in the fridge. They're beautifully set. And now we move on to the final but the most fun part of making a creme brulee, and that's creating that beautiful sugar crust on the top. And the trick here is before you put your sugar layer down is to go in with some salt flakes. And it's kind of got a bit of that salted caramel vibe. And then your sugar, about a tablespoon or a heaped tablespoon per pudding. It's nice to just do this last part of doing the sugar on top just before you're going to serve them. So a blowtorch is essential. Some recipes say that you can put them under a hot grill, but what ends up happening is you really end up boiling the whole dessert. And just make sure you're doing it on a base which is heat proof, because the trick is when you fire it up to kind of go in kind of this motion that you're not going to burn directly on the pudding. You're just wanting to crisp the top of the sugar. So move in some circles. As soon as you see it burning, move away, go on to the next bit. And don't worry if you do get a bit of a black patch, because that just is kind of be a little bit bitter as well. But it really works well against the sweetness of the pudding, so ignore the little blemishes. Done. The best part of making a brulee, tasting it, and the most fun and real test of a brulee is to see if it cracks properly. That's a good crack. Crunchy, really silky. That is chocolate heaven.